listened to this debate by Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins, and Richard Dawkins, he said something that I can agree with to a certain extent, and it's and I want to say this very carefully because he's an atheist, and I'm not an atheist, and I'm not agnostic either. My faith is very, very specific on who I have faith or what I have faith in. And I have faith in God, and I have faith in Jesus. I have faith in the Bible. I do believe that faith and belief are two different things, but I'll talk more in depth about that later. But I want to express specifically what Richard Dawkins said to Jordan Peterson. He said to Jordan Peterson, he said, "I'm not interested in this metaphorical symbolism storytelling that you are," and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, that you are talking about. I am interested in reality. I am interested in facts. And I think Jordan Peterson, he was trying to still push the narrative that fiction and nonfiction cannot live without either. They are to be unified. And Jordan Peterson has a very interesting take on that, and I will go deeper into that later. But right now, I think that Jordan Peterson I think he's being misunderstood a tad bit. And I'm not here to say that I actually completely understand where Jordan Peterson is coming from. But I believe if I can really from the top of my head, if I can really explain a little bit of what Jordan Peterson is talking about, or what I can say, what I can take from Jordan Peterson, where I can add to Jordan Peterson. Because I don't know Jordan Peterson, so I don't really want to put words in his mouth and speak for him. I think he can speak for himself. But I do believe that he is diluting his brand a little bit, because a lot of people are attacking his character, attacking the way he's starting to lose his credibility, because a lot of people are starting to think that he's doing a bunch of wordplay, word salad. He's trying to sound too pretentious. He's trying to make himself sound like this wise intellectual that has it all figured out better than anybody, and nobody understands him, and he's putting himself on this hierarchical intellectual brilliance ladder, and everybody else is down here. And I mean, to a certain extent, Jordan Peterson, he kind of is like that to most people. I mean, Jordan Peterson, he is a heavyweight. He is extremely brilliant. He is not my primary source. I don't go to him for my primary research or to my primary information. I have already explained the type of people that the group of individuals who I do go to, and who I think are much more knowledgeable or much more factual, truth-based than Jordan Peterson. But Jordan Peterson is he is definitely somebody that I do like to listen to, and that I do learn from, and that it does give me some ideas. And I think he's taking a very, very bold approach into the intellectual field in education, because this is something that I also think about as well. I haven't really talked that much about it on this channel. I have written about it a little bit. I have posted about it. I have posted about it on X, LinkedIn, Quora, and Reddit as well. I do postings on there as well, also Quora and Reddit, and eventually I will be writing on Substack. But I think there is, because I think sometimes in time, in the future, that fiction does sometimes become nonfiction. Fiction does become real. And I've always said, for the longest, I've always said, before I even got into really deep into technology, I was really deep into science, and I've always loved science ever since I've been a kid. I've studied science a lot. My favorite, when I was actually going to school, one of my first majors, my first major that I was going to school for was journalism, and then I wanted to study criminology, and then I started gaining this interest, because I was already interested in science when I was younger. But as I got a little older, I started gaining more and more interest in science, and I wanted to start back studying science. So I was thinking about, should I go to school for astronomy or should I go to school for biology? And I was playing football at the time, and I also tried to get a degree in kinesiology. I switched my degree so many times, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do kinesiology. I want to go a little deeper than kinesiology. And I was really what you could say, I was at that time when I was playing football and I was doing training for football to go to the NFL. I established a very high curiosity in this specific science in particular, the human body. I started getting more interest in that, studying the human body, but I wanted to go a little more broader into a sense. I wanted to go into biology. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to study kinesiology, I'm not going to study physiology, I'm going to go into biology. And then when I master biology, then I'll go back. Because I felt like biology was more broader and I can have a deeper understanding of science with studying biology. And then I can backtrack into kinesiology or exercise science or sports medicine or physiology or something like that. That's what the goal was until I dropped out of school. But I've always had this fascination with science. So, but when I was studying astronomy and I was studying science, I came to a conclusion. The more deeper I got into it, and I'm not a master in astronomy, I'm not a master in biology by any means, but the more I kept studying astronomy and biology and just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into it, I'm like, how is there no God? And I just started asking these questions, and I started questioning. And I grew up in a Christian household. My father was a pastor. Well, he first was an elder, and I grew up watching him as becoming a minister, elder. I don't think I ever witnessed my dad being a deacon, but minister, elder, and then eventually he created his own. He left the church, and then the church that he was being an elder at, minister at, and then he created his own church. He became a pastor. He had some members, and my dad's been a pastor ever since. And just recently, maybe about 2 years ago, he became a bishop. And so I've been around the Bible all my life, and I wanted to be really, really honest with myself. I wanted to be very, very specific in my, in my beliefs. I wanted to question myself because I wanted to say that I can't just say I believe in the Bible and I believe in Christ. I need to challenge myself, and I need to know why. I don't need to. And I did have a kind of interest in trying to prove that Jesus existed. But my thing is that God existed. I wanted to see if I could prove that, but you can't prove that. And the thing about it is that you shouldn't want to prove that. And I think where Jordan Peterson is messing up at, and a lot of other believers are messing up at, is that they are trying to prove the existence of God. They are trying to prove the facts of the Bible. Maybe Jordan Peterson is not really trying to prove it, but he's debating it. And I think that there should be. I believe that I believe discussions are okay, but what bothers me is I see some Christians, and Jordan Peterson, he doesn't freaking identify himself as a Christian. I mean, I see, and I don't either, and I'll go deeper into that why I don't. But Jordan Peterson, he didn't debate with Richard Dawkins. He didn't. I don't think he really debated with Alex O'Connor, and that's the person that I do listen to. I do listen to Alex O'Connor. I study some of his work. I study some of the stuff he says. I listen to some of the stuff he says. I think some of the stuff he says is worth listening to, even though he is an atheist as well. And so this is just to explain to you guys, prove to you all that my viewers, my subscribers, the people who read my stuff, who's following you now. This is just to explain to you all that I do have a very broad mindset, and I do listen to the opposition. It's like I was saying, like I'm a capitalist, but I hear out people with Marxist views, what they say. I listen to them. Do I change my conviction? Do I agree? No. But I do believe that I do believe that wisdom does come with understanding, and understanding all things. Not agreeing, not changing your convictions, not changing the way you move. not even listening. What I mean by listening to as a part as taking what they're saying and then, changing your culture, changing the way you behave and act. Not that, but I do like to adapt the mindset, the mentality, the way of thinking of what a lot of different people think and behave. So I like listening to Alex O'Connor for those purposes. And Jordan Peterson, he debated with Alex O'Connor. And then Jordan Peterson recently, he went on Jubilee and he debated with 20 atheists. And I think Jordan Peterson is digging himself a hole by him doing this, because he's debating with people who are strictly going based on empirical evidence. And when you go based on strictly empirical evidence, you can really dilute the Bible. You can really dissect it and pinpoint and find the most smallest things that can counter science, the science that has proven things to be true and proven some things to not be true in the Bible. So if you can't just go from a straight factual standpoint, and Jordan Peterson is debating people who are, it really makes no sense to debate the Bible and to debate the truth of the Bible, or factual truth of the Bible. And truth and fact are two different things. But the Bible is a library, and it's a library of faith. There are some things in the Bible that has been proven true, and there are some things in the Bible that has not been proven true, and we may not ever see them proven true. But that's the whole point. You dilute your faith in this library, in these stories. You dilute your faith if you are searching for fact. Because if you're searching for fact, if it's proven, now what's the point of having faith in it? It doesn't matter if you have faith in it or not. It doesn't matter if you want to believe in it or not. The faith and the belief doesn't matter anymore. It's a fact. And the Bible, I don't think, will ever be proven true until the end events that has been prophesied in the Bible, until those events actually happen. And to some of you, those events will never happen because the Bible is not true. It's just make believe. Okay, whatever. I'm not the one. I will never, ever, even though I did have some curiosity in doing it. But as I grew older and as I grew wiser, deeper understanding, I'm like, why would I want to prove the Bible to be true? Why? What's the point of that? I am diluting my faith by doing that. So it's just like, I'm actually, the intent of me trying to debate the existence of God and Jesus Christ, the miracles that Jesus Christ has done, because now some people actually believe that some of these people, archaeologists and anthropologists and some people, scientists, now they're actually saying that they actually believe that, there is records that proves that Jesus existed. It doesn't prove that Jesus is like the Son of God and that he has did all these miracles and all they walked on water. None of that stuff is proven. I think that none of that stuff is proven for intentionally. And I think God has a lot to do with that, because it's the same. I think it's the same reason why God did free will, why God allows free will. He wants us to do it just for the sake of doing it, just to show that we actually love him, even though it's not factually based. There is no evidence out there for that. I think that God actually is intentionally removing some of the factual, like some of the stuff that actually happened that they can be proven to us, for the sake of our faith, for the sake of us choosing our free will. There was something that about and I don't want to get too much off topic, but I want to give a bit of an explanation or an analogy. But like, if I've always thought that Batman was a better superhero than Superman. Why? Because Superman, he's true preordained. He's just made to be Superman. He's made to be just good regardless. But Batman actually has a choice. Batman actually has a choice between good and evil. Batman, he can I think Batman has more power than Superman, which makes him a better superhero than Superman, because Batman has the choice to choose between good and evil. And I think what makes a person good is not that a person just doing good things. I believe what makes a person good is a person having the ability to choose between good or evil, but choosing good just because. And I think that's the same thing with God, is that God, he wants us to choose the ultimate good, the ultimate, the Almighty, the All Highs, the Kings of Kings. He wants us to choose him and to accept him just for the sake of it. He's like, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. That's what Jesus Christ said. And he wants us to be able to choose without the evidence in front of us. And that, my friends, is faith. So it goes back to me saying that unless it's a discussion, unless Jordan Peterson changes his approach with this, because I can't say that Jordan Peterson isn't trying to prove and isn't trying to debate, because he went on Jubilee and he debated 20 atheists, and his talks with Alex O'Connor came out as some form of debate. Unless you want to discuss this, that's one thing. I will discuss this topic with atheists anytime. When I debate it, it'll be a waste of time. And I'm telling all Christians, all believers, you're wasting your time trying to prove the existence of God, because you've already lost. I'm not going to say there is no proof, but we don't know the truth. We don't know the proof. We don't have any proof. And like I said, I don't think there ever will be, for the sake of faith. So maybe you should question your own faith if you have the intent of trying to debate. Because why are you trying to prove it? There is no proof. Are you trying to prove to yourself? Are you trying to prove to yourself by going out there debating? Because even and I saw out and I've watched the Alex O'Connor debate. It was one atheist against 20 Christians. I believe Alex O'Connor, he beat all those Christians. He wiped the floor with them all, because he was going from a strictly standpoint factual base, evidence, empirical evidence, and all the Christians was going strictly based on belief and faith. And you can't do that. To me, it's as bogus as an argument a Marxist trying to debate with a capitalist. That's not religion. Now, this isn't religion. This isn't God and Jesus. This isn't God and Jesus. We're not debating the truth in here. We're debating literally Marxism is ridiculous for any human being to partake in, as opposed to capitalist society, capitalism. Those are facts. And so when I was watching Alex O'Connor debate with them all, and I'm just like, these Christians are wasting their time, and it's ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, do they even believe? Do they? And the belief in faith, and I want to change that. I want to say, do they believe? Do they have faith? Because I do believe belief and faith does have two different things, and I want to talk more about that, but a little bit. But this is just my take on belief and faith. But I believe that belief is something that goes up and down. It fluctuates. You know, it's not consistent. One day you can believe, the next day you can't. You know, I think it's the same thing as not the same thing, but it's like happiness. One day you're happy, one day you're not. I believe the relationship between belief and faith is the same relationship between happiness and joy. Happiness, it fleets, it fluctuates. One day you're happy, one day you're not. But joy keeps you. Joy is sustainable. Joy is your foundation. Joy is the structure. You know, joy is what's built, organized, and with clarity. That's joy. That's the road. Joy. Could I be happy as I'm joyful? Of course I can. Can I be angry? Can I be sad? Can I be mad? Can I be irritated? Can I experience all different emotions while I have joy? Yes, you can. Joy is what's keeping me. So joy is like the emotion. It's the sustainable emotion that's keeping it going. It's the lifestyle. It's the culture. And that's what I say. That's what I think about. That's what I think. I haven't done my research on this, but I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking out loud. That's what I think about faith. I think that faith it's like that sustainable structure. It's the structure of your of you. And belief you can have the belief every now and then. You know, sometimes you wake up, you don't believe, you're questioning, you're uncertain, you're not sure. So that belief is diluted. It's not there. But then, you know, sometimes you can have the belief. So I believe, you know, that's the difference between belief and faith. And I'll do a little more research on that, and I will go deeper into that, and I will do a whole new video on belief and faith, and I will write about it, and because I think there is a difference between those two. Just like I said, just like joy and happiness. A lot of people uses joy and happiness interchangeably, and a lot of people are using belief and faith interchangeably. And I believe we need to go deeper into those words. But the thing about Christianity is that I've never read the word Christian in the Bible. I haven't found it. And if anybody can find the word Christian in the Bible, please give me the scripture where it says Christian. And I never came across Jesus calling himself a Christian either. If anybody can find a scripture in the Bible where Jesus called himself Christian, please give me that scripture. I've read the entire Bible one time, and I haven't been studying it as a lot as I want to, but I want to go back to studying it intensely. And additionally, all other Bibles. I've studied the Satanic Bible a little bit, but I'm saying this to say is that I never came across the word Christian in the Bible. And in the Satanic Bible never talked about the devil. Now, Jesus, this is why I stopped calling myself a Christian, and that's why I also stopped talking about religion. Jesus called out the Pharisees in the synagogue. They had all these labels. They were saying they were this or that, and their lifestyle was not, their culture was not adding up to who they say they were. They were not authentic. Jesus never, like I said, please correct me if I'm wrong, which I don't think I am, but Jesus never claimed himself to be a Christian. Jesus never told anybody to be a Christian. Jesus preached and educated heavily about love, you know. And the word Christian, it evolved after his death. So why are people so hung on this term Christianity? And I believe we are actually diluting the entire purpose of Christ coming down from earth by us being so strung up on religion and Christianity. And a lot of atheists, a lot of people who are even agnostic, probably even they say that Christianity and religion has a lot to do with a lot of turmoil and destruction and mass destruction in this world and in history. To a certain extent, it does play a part in that. It does. A lot of people killed in the name of the Bible, killed in the name of Jesus, killed in the name of God. But that doesn't discredit Jesus. That doesn't discredit God. That doesn't discredit the purpose of the Bible. People just took that into their own interpretation, into their own way, and they decided to go about that. So, but I don't like labels. And I believe Jesus didn't like labels either. And I don't call myself a Christian for that sake. I stopped calling myself a Christian like over 10 years ago when I came to that conclusion, when I discovered that. The same thing. And so I mentioned the Satanic Bible because in the Satanic Bible, the word, like the devil isn't mentioned in the Satanic Bible. It's pretty much saying that you are the God. And so what I'm basically pretty much saying is that some form of atheism is a form of Satanism. Now, I know some atheists, they have like this modern day terminology of atheism or description of atheism. So I have to go, I'm going to study more atheism, but some of these atheists, they have like these different, how can I put it? Like Alex O'Connor, now he doesn't call himself really an atheist. He calls himself agnostic. So they have like different type of meanings of atheism, or there's different types of atheists. So the atheist that I'm talking about, I will say, is that the atheism that is related to Satanism. And they kind of see, the atheists kind of confuse me when they talk about there's different forms of atheists, and I don't really think there is, because at the end of the day, if you're disclaiming that there is no God and there is nothing at all, not just the Bible. That's another thing that interests me, is that I see a lot of atheists, they only try to disprove the Bible. They don't try to disprove other religions. And that to me is interesting. So when I found out that the Satanic Bible doesn't even mention the devil, it doesn't want you to believe in the devil. It doesn't care about you believing in the devil. And I don't think that the devil cares about you believing in him. That's the whole point. Because if you're going to believe in him, you got to believe that there's a God. So it is a form of atheism. Or I guess you could say some type of form of atheism. Because atheists, they have these different types of forms of atheism. And I'm going to go deeper in. I will go deep into that, and I will talk more about that. But that is something to consider. That is something to look into, I think, for us all. But to go back to my standpoint on that Christians are wasting their time debating the existence of Christ, of God, the stories of the Bible. Again, the Bible is not going to be fully proven. It's just not. Is it the truth? It's our truth. We can't say it's everybody else's truth. We can't speak for everybody else. We just can't. I think it's a personal experience when you decide that you want to walk by faith through the Bible. And I had to question myself, and I had to ask myself, why would I want to continue to keep having faith in this? I honestly, even with my imagination, I just cannot imagine a life without doing it. It keeps me going. The faith that I have in the Bible is the type of faith that I also put into my daily actions, into my lifestyle, into the vision that I have for myself. I want to do a lot of things that has not come true, that cannot be proven. There are things that I want to develop, that I want to create, that I want to produce, that is fictitious right now. So I have no problem in, even though economics is my main field of study, and I talk heavily on this channel about how facts are extremely important in facts and truth is the foundation of my empire, of what I am building, of my brand. When it comes to the Bible, when it comes to Christ, when it comes to God, that doesn't hold up to that. So outside of that, everything has to be proven for me to be able to even accept it, to believe in it, to live by it, to practice it, But again, on the contrary, there are things that I want to do that has not been proven. And that comes with my faith. I have to have faith to do it. So I'm like, if I have faith in doing these things that are not proven, also, why not have the faith? Why not keep your faith in this? And for Jordan, and based on what Jordan Peterson is talking about, it's a metaphorical library of stories. And it is. So it's really deep, man. I mean, because when you talk about something like God and Jesus, you're gonna just mess yourself up by just like trying to prove it. Prove it to yourself. Don't try to prove it to other people. It's a personal experience. It's the same thing when you have a goal, when you have a vision. You're going to hear the naysayers. You are going to hear them, that how stupid and foolish you are. You have to be willing to be a fool, and that's another thing too. You have to be willing to look like a fool to the public. You have to, and not saying that you are a fool. I'm saying you have to be willing to look like one, because you're doing things that people are unfamiliar with, and that's the thing. You, with your vision, with your goals, with your dreams, the things that you're pursuing, they have to. You're not going to always be certain. You have to be able to live in uncertainty. You have to be unsure. You have to be unfamiliar with certain things. You have to, but you have to have the courage and the faith to walk down that path of uncertainty, of unsureness. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with the Bible. Same thing, or if you guys have other beliefs or religions or whatever. Same thing with that. But specifically, I'm talking about the Bible, in Christ. That walk with them. You have to be uncertain. Alex O'Connor, he says something, because he says a lot of things that are very true, and that's why I listen to him, and that's why I study what he says. Some of the stuff that he says, he goes, you can't be really certain. You can't be too sure that what these Christians are studying, or what they claim that they believe in, that is actually true. You can't be too certain. You can't be too sure, and he's absolutely correct. That is the whole reason of the Bible. It's faith of living that lifestyle, having that culture. It's all faith based. It's faith. That's it. It's faith based. I think, to be honest with you, a lot of people, they will have no problem believing in superheroes. Black Panther, Superman, Batman. I love Bat. Like I said, Batman's my favorite superhero. They have no problem in believing in those things. Some people do. Some people don't. Or some people have no problem in believing that they would like for it to exist. I'll put it to you like that. Same thing with the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So it's a symbol, and those things are created, and I believe that some of those things are created with the, how can I put it, with the inspiration from the Bible. A lot of these superhero stories are created from the inspiration of the Bible. I see a lot of similarities when I study, these stories, these superhero stories. I see a lot of similarities between those in the Bible. So it's faith-based, man. It gives some people that strength, that guidance, that sometimes when we are living in life, we can't say, I think you're lying when you say that you sometimes go through life and you don't have the facts, you don't have the evidence, that everything that you deal with has to deal with facts and has to deal with evidence, because not everything that you deal with has to deal with facts, has to deal with evidence. There are some times in your life where you do have faith, and I believe that that this world, the civilization till kingdom come, is always going to deal with that, the faith, in some form or fashion in their lifestyle. Sometimes we are not going to be able to just dig up fact. Sometimes we are going to have that faith, and that's what I'm saying. When we are building a future, entrepreneurs, architects, when they're building entrepreneurs, when we are building a future, that takes a lot of faith. It doesn't take a lot of fact, because sometimes we are doing things that we just do not know. We don't understand, and that's where I believe Alex O'Connor, people like Alex O'Connor, Richard Dawkins, and a lot of atheists are missing the point. But at the same time, Christians, believers, they are missing that point too. Because if you are convicted in this, you're not going to waste your time trying to debate about it. You think I said I want to be a multi-trillionaire. Like I said, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of products that I want to create that are very, very science fiction. You think I'm going to waste my time by trying to debate with other people about it? I have this YouTube channel. I'm marketing about it. I'm writing about some of these things. Right now, I'm mostly focused on building my personal brand. And then I am going to announce, show the other ideas that I have and that I want to develop, that I want to create to the vast and large. But right now, I want to focus on expanding my personal brand. Now, there are some businesses and there are some products that I have talked about. Some of them, I just scratched the surface of some of the ideas that I have that I want to do on this channel. But I did that I did that for a reason, because what's the point of me talking about those things? I want to build my credibility first. I want to build my brand first. I want to build my wealth first, and then I scale from there. But do you think I'm going to waste my time by trying to debate with other people about things that I want to create that are fictitious? Why would I do that? I am the bigger fool. I am the bigger fool by doing that. So that's what I'm saying to other people, to other believers. Stop debating this. Now, discussion. Let's have the discussions about it. If you're curious about this, if you're curious about why I do this, why I study this, why I have the faith in this Bible, you know, stuff like that, then that's fine. But I think they need to change the debates, because I think they're completely ridiculous. And you know, now you got people like Jordan Peterson, who looks like a freaking buffoon, because he's trying to he's playing these wordplay, he's doing, you know, he's playing around, he's playing these games, and he's not answering straightforward questions, and that's a problem. So I also want to end on this note, on this thought. I want you all to think about science fiction, you know, and nonfiction now, because there are some things that was science fiction back in the day, and that was written, that were just in novels, and that's actually came to light now. AI. I mean, I've written a little bit about AI, and I've written a little bit. I did some posts about the relationship between AI and God, and I will do a video on that between AI and God. And I did mention earlier in this video about, you know, me studying science, and the more I study science, the more I'm like, how is there no God? But here's the thing. I believe that the more advanced technology becomes, and the more science evolves, the more it kind of proves the existence of God. I'm not saying this is a fact or anything. I'm just saying this is what I come across. This is something that I have been coming across for years now. Look at AI. Think about what AI can become in its ultimate position. Do you think that God is revealing himself in technology? Do you think that God is kind of revealing himself in AI? When we think about the super intelligence, the omnipotent, the omnipresent. When I look at AI, when I'm studying AI and I get deeper into AI, get deeper into technology, I'm like, that's the ultimate aim for technology. So, and then also when you study science, you get deeper into it and more it evolves. Because science doesn't prove everything. So that's another thing too. Like these scientists, some of them come across as if they know everything. And ignore scientists that comes across like that. You know, so when Richard Dawkins, so I'll leave it on this note, when Richard Dawkins says that he doesn't believe in these metaphorical, symbolic stories and dragons and stuff that Jordan Peterson was trying to throw at him. He said he's not interested in that. He's interested in reality. He's interested in fact. And I respect that. But what I'm saying is though that you have to take into account also imagination. And you also have to take into account that some things that did not exist, they have been revealed. And I'm not going to say they have been created, because I don't really think that you can really create something, because and if I can explain this without being too complicated, if you think about, there was one ultimate creator of this universe. Everything, when humans evolved, we built from things that we've already had, the resources in this world, the finite resources of this world. So technically speaking, we didn't really create anything. I guess we took a form of like what creation could be, or originally, or like we did not create something just out of blue air. It came from something, is what I'm basically trying to say. It came from something. And so I will leave it there. So thank you all so much for watching. This was a video that this was something that was just on my mind. I just really just spoke from the mind. I enjoy deep conversations. I enjoy deep topics, and sometimes I just like to challenge myself, just talk about things that I didn't do any writing on this video. This video was just straight from my mind. So some stuff may have been true, what I said, some stuff may not be true. This was a discussion with myself, me talking out loud. I'm recording myself, so I'm discussing with you all too. Let me know what you think. Did some of the stuff that I say hit home? Did you understand what I said? Was this video too complicated? Did I go too deep? or did you really enjoy what I'm talking about? And we can keep the discussion going. And depending on how, I guess you can say, I don't know, because I was about to say depending on how successful this video becomes, like I will expand more on this. But I think that even if this video is not very successful, I'm going to still talk more about this because it's my interest, and that's part of my brand. My brand is, you know, polymathic thinking. You know, that's what my brand is. That's what I'm trying to inspire you all to do, is to question things and to dig deep, to be critical thinkers, and to just learn and keep learning and do these, write about it, record, talk about it, have discussions. So that's all. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon.